All right, everybody. I like seeing the chat with you guys speculating as to what I'm up to before the stream starts. But here we are. We're live. And we are doing a tier list today. Let me double check that everything's okay. Right? So the setup is the way it's supposed to be, right? No audio? What do you mean no audio? There's audio. Hold on. Hello? All right. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So, today we got a tier list, as usual on break weeks. And this was the tier list I was provided. So the goal is that we're doing a tier list of super chat missed from before I started. Combining ideas heard in previous streams. What if after Kaido is defeated for good and has his spirit completely broken, he loses his conquerors and is chained up in plenty of sea stone, Moria shows up? I don't know about Moria being, showing up. If you want Moria to get in like a final jab at Kaido or something like that, or kill him permanently. But yeah, maybe his conqueror's hockey or generally his spirit being broken, so therefore he's a neutered threat and no longer a problem in the story. Yeah, that could work. That could definitely work. Should I look here or should I guess wait, how do we normally do it? So for streams, normally we do it or for tier list, normally we do this, right? Yeah, no spoilers. Just don't do the spoilers. I think spoilers are coming out earlier than usual these days. Okay. All right, hopefully that loads. Okay, good stuff. Open widget. What does that mean? What does that even mean? Moria steals his shadow. So this is a super chat from Bill. Moria steals his shadow and takes him back to Thriller Bark, where he will have his glorious death and he will eventually be forgotten by very few, just like rocks. Maybe that's it's like a really dark cover story or something like that Oda could do on the side. I don't know. Luzbez says do a live reaction to the chapter. No, I don't do. I just don't do live reactions. Who here was here for the Film Z? When did we do it? Film Z stream Saturday. Who was here for that? Who was here for the Film Z stream? Because if you remember, I explained there I don't like doing live reactions. I'm not much of a live reactor. It was probably not the most entertaining Film Z live reaction you all have ever seen, and that's okay. It wasn't supposed to be, was not supposed to be that. It was just supposed to be me checking off a box that I had promised I would do. Zoro is dead. Kaido killed Luffy. I doubt that that's. I have a feeling that Zoro isn't dead. All right. So we're gonna be ranking the best fights. It was still fun. Yeah, I mean the movie was fine. It was a solid movie. I like the movie. Would I have ever watched on my own, even knowing the quality of the movie? No, I don't think so. Miss Super Chat again. Lord Morge is here from Josh Muiz. Yeah, I've arrived. Yeah, unenthusiastic live reaction. I think I told you guys that. Like, me doing a live reaction is not something to look forward to. I don't have very big reactions when I'm watching things. Actually, what's funny, I think I might be a good live reactor for comedy TV shows. I might be wrong on that. I have a theory I might be a good reactor for comedy TV shows because I think I tend to laugh out loud Like at TV shows I find funny, I think I laugh out loud more than the average person, at least from my viewing experiences in groups. But that's about it. In general, I'm not a big reactor. Gabe C says, "Why does Morge seem sad? Maybe just a long day. I don't actually know. I'm not sad if that's what you need to hear." Parsa Mahan says, "You hated it. Literally, you are Lork." No, I didn't hate it. I liked it. I liked Film Z for the most part. I definitely enjoyed it for the most part. It was solid. All right. So, hold on. We need an intro for this. Okay, so we need to introduce this concept. So, what we are doing here. Yeah, Jinho Wong says, "I was forced to watch Film Z." Yeah, that's part of it. When you're forced to watch something, it's not quite the same, is it? I mean, I forced myself because I did promise that, hey, I'll do the Film Z live reaction if we hit the plush goal, and we did hit the plush goal, so I pretty much trapped that. But, questionable context, questionable context says, "Is this an anime, manga, or both together fight tier list?" I mean, I think that they're generally how much of a gap is there going to be between the anime and manga quality? I think it's usually just about the same in terms of the fights because the anime doesn't usually add that much more to it. That's not true. It does, but like it won't add any sort of crazy type of filler if that makes sense. It'll take a bit from the fight and just extend that for the most part. You know? Like if I were to take, for example, like I don't know, Zoro versus Pika, I don't think that the anime really added much more other than kind of generic stuff of Zoro, like cutting up rocks and stuff like that, right? Like the main beats of the fight, the 1080-pound cannon, or 1080-pound Phoenix, whatever. 1080-pound Phoenix, the finishing move, Sanzen Sekai, like all of that was basically the same. Like those are the notable parts of the fight. Babtron says, "Lork, who are your least favorites in One Piece?" Hashtag Bab thoughts. That's not a Bab thought. You're not contributing a thought to the conversation. That's just a bad question. You can't just throw out a question to be like hashtag Bab thoughts. That's sullying the concept of the hashtag. That's not a Bab thought. That's just a question. My least favorite fights, though, well, we're gonna find out. Wait, who are your least faves in One Piece? Are you talking about like in general? The like least favorite characters? Like what are you talking about least favorites? Least favorite what's? What least favorites? Which least favorites? What's the least favorite? I don't know what you're referring to, Babtron. I'm gonna ignore you because you didn't it wasn't a Bab thought, it was a question. You know what? Least favorite characters, period. If I had to say a least favorite character in One Piece, I don't think I really have least favorite character because like most of the characters in One Piece that are annoying, like say Treble or something like that, they're supposed to be annoying. So what are you supposed to say about them? Like I don't like Spandam, but he's supposed to be not likable. A character I don't like that I think I was supposed to like is uh, maybe Rebecca. And I know that that's a generic answer, but too bad. And I know that plenty of people have like lots of things defending Rebecca, like, well, it's realistic that she would cry so much because blah blah blah. It's like I don't care if it's realistic; it's just fucking annoying. Like, what do you want me to say? It's just I get that it's realistic. She's like 16-year-old girl who's like gone through a lot of stuff, but it's also just annoying. I don't find her to be an interesting character. Polmao says, "I would have Morge as S tier on my list." Oh, thank you, Polmao. You know what? If Polmao's not a mod already, that just made Polmao a mod. All right. More keys to becoming mod. Say nice things to me. Babtron says, "Damn it, Lurk, your least favorite characters." See, that's the opposite. Is Babtron a mod? No, what a surprise. Babtron is not a mod. You can see why. See the contrast in behavior. Polmao, mod. Babtron didn't even remember to put Bab thoughts at the end of this. Damn it, Lurk, your least favorite characters. I think I kind of answered that. Eatum says, "Hi, Morge. I wrote a fan fiction story about us. Morge, you're epic. Me, thanks." Wow, what a story. Really like the character arc that took place over that. Very deep. A lot to unpack there. Big Bro Cook says 1v1s only, or will you include group fights? Example, early roof piece. So let me fill you in on this. So, how did the Straw Hat Fights idea even come up in the first place? Well, last stream, or 2 streams ago, I was talking about, well, I don't know, maybe like four stream. Last tier list stream, I was like, I don't know what we're doing for the next tier list. So then people pushed the idea of Straw Hat Fights. I've already done Luffy fights, but the idea of Straw Hat Fights was very popular. And someone was kind enough to make a tier list setup for me and send it right away at the end of that stream. So I was ready. Now I'm opening it up and looking at it, and I'm like, where the fuck are all of these? Where are all these characters? Where are all the fights? I swear we're missing like 50% of the fights in the series. So when you ask me 1v1s only, or will you include group fights, I'm including whatever the hell is on this list. And whatever's on this list is not necessarily all the fights in One Piece. Actually, it might be. I'm trying to see. Maybe this is all the non-Luffy fights. Maybe Luffy fights just take up so much space that I think that there'd be way more than this. But maybe this is all the non-Luffy fights. We're using whatever we got. That's the answer to your question. Dom, what's up? Hey, Morge, glad you liked Filmsy. I did like it. Moving on to my next agenda, getting you to watch Film Red. Look, Film Red, here's what happens anytime a One Piece movie comes out. Except for Film Gold. Film Gold made so little... okay, let me explain the full thought, right? Anytime a One Piece movie comes out, all of the notable clips are everywhere, and I do end up seeing a lot of clips, so I get the gist of what happened in the movie, and that's pretty much it. Especially the action scenes and stuff like that. So I'd seen most of the action scenes in Filmsy already. Stampede, same thing. Film Gold was the only One Piece movie I've been around for where the film came and went without making any sort of a impact on the web in general. I don't know how to explain it, but I didn't fucking see anything about film. There was that other Nami counterpart character, saw a lot of her because I guess, weebs, whatever, spreading her stuff around everywhere. Guess she was the highlight of the movie. I saw Sabo fighting Lucci. Besides that, saw nothing out of Film Gold. I feel like that movie just came and went and no one really gave a shit. So, sorry for any Film Gold fans, but that's just my outside looking in sort of perspective on it. Maybe it was really good. Maybe Film Gold is secretly the best One Piece movie of all time. Sean Emanuel says, hey Morge, hope you're doing well today. Thank you. Let's get some more questions like that. Hope you're doing well today. Well, I guess it's not a question, but it's still appreciated. Did you happen to catch the mini reverie? No, I did not catch the mini reverie. Also, what is your favorite book? Favorite book? I would say it's like a surprising pick, but I think favorite book, like the one that probably had the most influence on me in general, was one I actually read when I was younger. It's like the everybody knows the Golden Compass, right? So it's that trilogy, but particularly the second 2 books, so the His Dark Materials trilogy. So that probably had the most influence on me in general, I think, I think that probably had the most influence on me out of any book or book series. And it's like a young adult book, so it goes to show it can still be really good. Jay Full says, I think there's a good chance Kaido bends the knee to Luffy / Joy Boy. What are your thoughts? So this is the second type of thing we've gotten, I guess, today, similar to the question about, what if Luffy breaks Kaido's spirit or something like that. It's an interesting idea. Interesting route that Oda could go because Kaido's unkillable. Well, what if Kaido just accepts that, he's beat or whatever? 8 Gates Production says, how do I get over her, Morge? That's a you problem. I don't have a I can't help you with that. But following up on this, I think Kaido bending the knee to Luffy / Joy Boy, I think it would, I think I would lose some degree of respect for Kaido as a character if he did that, and I think I would lose some degree of respect for what Kaido's about, because we've had so many villains in the past who have not bent the knee to Luffy, right? Only Wapol and Caesar, right? I think those are the few villains you can count that were actually just like, Luffy, you're superior, we'll do whatever you say or whatever, right? I mean, those are the only relatively important villains that you can count, right? So if Kaido, of all people, did that, I personally think that I would lose some respect for him as a character and what he seemed to stand for. If his spirit was broken and he lost his haki, that's one thing. If he actively just chooses, hey, I'm just going to follow you from now on, then I think that's his own, I guess that's his own sort of like personal, like having your conqueror spirit broken versus like you yourself actively choosing to submit. Those are two very different things. I think I would lose respect for that second route, basically. J Full says, forgot to say my usual. Love you, Morge. Thanks, J Full. Appreciate it. Full Mouse says, OMG, seriously? I'm honored. I love your content. Yes, seriously. This will stick it to Babtron. Grizzly Adams says, no Zora versus Braum, unsubscribed. I did not. I thought I made this very clear. I am not responsible for this tier list. I didn't make the tier list. That's a good call. We don't have Zora versus Braum. It's actually an okay-ish little mini fight. Zora versus Braum is actually it's actually a fun little mini fight. Arepe16 says, how did you learn to break down / analyze stories? I mean, most of it is if you just watch / read a lot and think a lot and take notes, then that's the bigger part of it. The generic answer is like, you pay attention in school, pay attention in your writing classes, actually do the writing the writing assignments and shit and like the homework and stuff. That's a simple answer, but a lot of it's also, I guess, you watch videos on other people talking about the subject. I took some film and writing classes in college, basically, or like English lit type classes, but that wasn't like my major or my main focuses. But you pick up enough. The main thing is actually your own level of interest, because it's not even just how much you watch or read; it's how much it's like active thinking, right? So if you take notes. That's like the biggest part of it, because the more notes and stuff you take on anything that you're following, then the more you build a framework for like, oh, okay, this is what's being put together. Oh, okay, this fits and everything like that. Josh Moise says 771 people, but not even 200 likes. What's going on here, guys? Like the stream. Oh my god, I swear I got the laziest people coming in here. Just like the stream, all right? That's you just have to do it, all right? Wait, I have to say this in a nicer way that'll make people like the stream. Guys, like the stream. Go like the stream. Just go do it right now, all right? The tier list will not start until we hit, I don't know, 127 likes. Oh my god. Okay, this is just slow. 251 likes. All right, there we go. The list will not start until we hit, I don't know, like 400 likes or something like that. I think that's fine. Let's do that. William Marshall says, Mr. Bjork, how excited are you for 1044? I haven't been this excited for a chapter since Roof Piece. My excitement for 1044 was at like an extreme high after 1043, because obviously, right? So I like actually couldn't stop thinking about it for the next couple days. I was just like, this is the most frustrating One Piece break I can recall in a long time. At the moment, I'm just chilling. I'm very excited for 1044, like in general, but I'm down to I'm not like thirsting for it the way that I was after 1043 basically, because after 1043 you just want to know. I think part of it is part of it is because after doing the last couple videos, like I've been talking so much One Piece. Okay, so content creator perspective, I guess it's just I'm a little One Pieced out at the moment, in that I just did a fairly long video going through, Destiny in One Piece, how it compares to this, that, etc. So I've done a lot of personal, I guess, thinking over the last week over like how I feel about like everything that's happening, Luffy potentially being chosen one, etc. So I got a lot of One Piece thinking out over the course of the last week, and obviously the video took even longer than I expected, so it came out Saturday instead of Friday, whatever. I think I've had my fill of basically thinking about the recent developments, so now I'm looking forward to the chapter, but I've also had a bit of an outlet, I suppose, of thinking through how I feel about everything that's going on right now. Does that make sense? It's already 500. Oh my god. All right, then we better start soon. I guess we'll start. Let me get through these and then I'll start. Where were we at, Mr. S? No. We were at... Oh, yep. William Marshall calling me Mr. Bjork. I think post 1043, it was the most excited I'd been for it. Like, the most annoyed / mad I'd been over a One Piece break in a long time. Because Oda knows what he's doing. He knows how he's fucking with us. Morge Jonah, how was the weekend? Also, that right forearm is looking hench. Did you hit the gym after work today? I like how I like how the word hench has just become commonplace in this chat now. Even though 95% of us are probably not British. Did you hit the gym after work today? Yeah, usually I go to the gym uh basically after I finish work, and then I take a shower and then I stream, and that's basically again where you guys catch me. Also, do you think we'll find out about the Krok Ivankov secret, or will it be dropped? Krok Ivankov secret, or will it be dropped? I think we might find out. I think we might find out. Next time we see um, uh, yeah, next time we see Crocodile, I think we might get, a little bit of a hint of it. Or if we just get another little backstory. If we get another little backstory that happens to feature Croc from 20 years ago, like not necessarily a Crocodile backstory, but just a, general, Chapter 0 style backstory that happens to show Croc from back then, we might see Croc as a girl. Atros says, do you think Kaido is still going to win against Joy Boy Luffy? Yes. Kaido still has Awakening and a flashback. Exactly. And there's more. And more. I'm gonna at least wait out this chapter and see how this chapter goes before I drop a video talking about my expectations. Because, maybe something happens. Maybe this chapter, it's like Kaido uses his Awakening and has his flashback right away or something like that. We don't know. But, I'll wait a little bit, see how the flow is going somewhat, but I would not be surprised at all if Joy Boy Luffy comes down and beats the shit out of Kaido for a bit before Kaido then does his stuff. But there's more reasons to it. There's actually some very interesting things. And this is why I like the streams, because actually there's certain things that are discussed in the streams that thinking out loud. So from the last couple streams, things that have kind of come up that have made me think out loud and think a little bit and then go back post stream and then just what's the word? Note things down, I suppose. So I do think I have a good video coming on how I think things will go. But, obviously just theories. Luis Vasquez says, did Joy Boy take over Luffy's body after he died? As I said, I've had my time to think about it. I thought about the reincarnation possibility. I thought about, okay, maybe it's just Luffy just being the chosen one and he's awakening his fruit, so maybe some spirit of Joy Boy in him or something like that. There's different possibilities that are all equally viable right now. I'm calm. I'm at peace. I'm waiting for the next chapter. Justin Holland says, how are you in your pre-1044 stress? Could Luffy conquer his Marineford war trauma to awakening and beat Kaido? I don't know if this relates to his Marineford war trauma. That's the thing. There's not really a tie to anything like that right here at the moment. But pre-1044 stress, I just want 1044 to come out. I just want to see what happens. More than anything, I just want to see what happens. Could he? Of course he could awaken and beat Kaido here, but I just don't think that's the way it'll play out. But maybe. Jinho Wong says, Morge, love your Destiny video. Need much in this dire times. Thank you very much. I was worried about the Destiny video when I dropped it, because the reincarnation video didn't go over that well. It did, but there was more controversy raised from that than I had expected. So I actually had to pin a comment being pin a comment addressing some of the discussion going on in the comment section for the reincarnation video. So the Destiny video, when I dropped that, I was I think people might really, really dislike this video, but for the most part, most people are on board. So that was good to see. I think that was a video I spent a good amount of time on. So yeah, I'm cool with any route that comes out of this, honestly, as long as potential thematic complications are addressed in the story. Potential Pizzas is Morge. I would like to formally apologize. As a mod of your Discord server, I've made a shameful mistake. The name of your Discord server misspells it as Snerver. What? What does that even mean? What? I don't even know what that means. That's... All right, thanks for sharing that, Potential Pizza. Can we get a replacement for Potential Pizza in here? Someone else who wants to take over the Discord server? We'll take literally any applications. Let me catch up. Hold on. Potential Pizza's just volunteered to step down as head of the Discord server. Great Kate says, like the stream, guys. Yes, continue to like the stream. Let's all like the stream. Crow Stregot says, message retracted. 1,224 likes, says Tesseract. Not realistic, but I like the attitude. Sorry, as soon as I catch up to these, I will start the... Keenan, thanks. I will start the whatever this stuff is. You know what I mean. Tier list. That's what it is. 8 Gates Productions got over her mortgage. Oh, look at me helping you out like that. Got over her mortgage. Also, shout out Spectre from Discord. Spectre from Discord. Actually, do you want to take over for Potential Pizza? You can't even spell server right. Zayed says, "Hello, Morg. I hope you are well. Do you think Rox would end up being a Devil Fruit user?" I hope so. I definitely hope that Rox is a Devil Fruit user because I'm just excited to see what Devil Fruit he has. Keenan, thank you as usual. The best person to ever show up in streams. Can't tune in. About to see a movie. Is it my reaction to Film Z? Just want to let you know we're gonna kill Mork for you. I need everyone to spam Warge in the chat. Thanks, Keenan. Your influence. Oh, look, it actually worked. Seeing a lot of Warges. Thanks, man. You control them better than I do. Big the Boss says, "Der Hero Morgy Swan." I forgot. I fucking hate Big the Boss. I know we'll have a good time after the stream. Be my lover, my dear. Morgy Swan, I have permission from your mom. Love, love, kiss, kiss. Thank you, Big the Boss. Christopher Caro says, "How can Zoro wield Enma if Odin is over 12 feet tall? It's a bit odd." Zoro is also over 12 feet tall. Gauss Rifle says, "Warge, what is Warge? What is it good for?" Warge, what is it good for? All right, I think covered everything. I'll be the new pizza Discord. No, I'm talking about Potential Pizza, head of the Discord server, or at least former head of the Discord server. Potential Pizza just got Magellaned. He's no longer in charge of Impel Down. Babtron says, "Start already, old man Murg plus hashtag Bab Nation." What's Bab Nation? What's Bab Nation? There's no Bab Nation. There's no Bab Nation. We've moved on from Bab Thoughts to Bab Nation. Did not realize that the Babtron influence was growing to this point. All right, let's get through some of these fights. So, we have 2 ways of doing it. Actually, no. We waste too much time debating things that don't matter with these tier lists. There will only be one way of doing it. All right? And I was going to be like chronological versus going in order. We're just going to do going in order. All right? However it is set up here is however we'll do it. William Marshall says, "My contribution to the Warge Foundation." Thank you, William Marshall. Thanks, Keenan, for setting off the Warge Foundation. All right. Absalom fight. This is actually very difficult. This is actually going to be very, very difficult because there's a lot of Straw Hat fights, and there's also it's because they're so different, right? Like an Usopp fight is going to be very different from like a Sanji fight. It's going to be very different from like a Nami fight, right? It's an East Blue fight, standards versus like Grand Line standards. It's going to be tricky. This is going to be definitely very, very tricky. So let's start with Absalom. So we got Absalom right here. What tier do we want to put Absalom in? This basically sets the tone for the rest of the tier list. The first person that's ranked. AH24, thanks. Mord, your channel reignited my love for One Piece. Keep making great content. Unsubscribed. Thanks, AH24. I appreciate the words. Josh Meese says, Warge. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ima Berdov says, "Morge, love your Mr. Love. Mr. Love, your reaction. Are you planning to do more? More reactions to Film Z? No. I will only be doing that reaction to Film Z. Once you've seen it once, you don't really need to see it again. C, D. Okay, wow, you guys don't like the Absalom. I'm going to put the Absalom fight in. I'm seeing a lot of Ds. Absolutely D tier. How about we put it in D for now and then see how we feel about it? Maybe we bump it up later. Let's get off to a hot start on this tier list. You know what? A hot start on this tier list means a little more optimistic, all right? Black Maria, I think that I'll give you my 2 cents. I think Black Maria is a great fight. I think Black Maria is not a great fight. It's hard to explain. It's like a good fight for Robin. And Robin hasn't had a good fight in the series. So maybe that's why I'm biased for Black Maria. That's another problem, which is like the standards for Straw Hats are different. So like a good fight for... Are you guys you're talking about, you're saying S for her? She is, no, come on. No, Black Maria is not an S tier fight. That's ridiculous. I'll give you guys a poll on it, but that's kind of crazy. It was a good fight. It was a good fight. The best Robin fight in the series, obviously. Um, it's not like an S tier fight. That's you guys are drinking crazy juice. What is this? What are you guys gonna show me? Hmm? What do you get? A 65%. Done. I'm good with that. I mean, it's an S tier Robin fight, but that's that's what does that even mean? Okay. Kabaji. Tricky again. It's like so many of the Straw Hat fights are like they're like around the same level. Like I wouldn't put Kabaji more below Absalom necessarily. Literally, the only fight Robin has had is Black Maria and the fat roly poly guy in Skypiea. uh, yeah, that's true. But at the same time, like I think it was still a good fight for her by general standards, I suppose. It's just yeah, it's just hard because like it might stand out more because it's like for finally a good fight for Robin, but I don't think that puts it in S necessarily. We can reevaluate Black Maria later. I did think it was a really good fight. For a long time, I said that was the best part of Onigashima. Then I do think other parts passed it up. How you guys feel about Kabaji? It's really just the Yama fight wasn't even bad. I did like the Yama fight because the Yama fight was like it was fine for a minor fight for Robin because it was just like, oh, why is like Robin so scared and intimidated by this guy? That's so surprising because like the last arc we just seen her easily fucking up everybody as Miss All Sunday, right? Like you guys might forget, but like during the entire Baroque Works saga, Robin's ability seemed fucking broke, and it still is broke to some degree. But it's just like then suddenly against Yama she's struggling, and we're like, why is she struggling? It's just some fat dude. And then eventually she gets to a point where she's like, no, I was just kidding. Just kidding. B, C, C. I'm not gonna give it a B. I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C. Can chill here with. Okay, Chew. 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 This is tricky because I don't actually have that strong opinions on a lot of this stuff. Sometimes like we go into these tier lists and I just feel like saying, hey, we're gonna do this my way. But with like I don't mind if you guys put Chew. Actually, the Chew fight is pretty good. I'm not going to tolerate Chew being put in D. The Chew fight is pretty good. Maybe I'm speaking too soon. Honestly, a lot of these fights are good. You know what? Actually, this is kind of crazy. I think that I like all of these fights. I like Chopper versus Gadatsu, Zoro versus Hachi, Zoro. Do I just like all Straw Hat fights? Because with Luffy, it's tricky because Luffy gets fights all the time. You know what I mean? C for Chew. I think. Here's my case. Let me make my quick case for Chew, which is no, because C. Okay, it only got 37%, but that means it should really go into B. Yeah, because that means that the majority of people believe that it's better than C, so it should average out to about B. And plus B1 anyway, so we're good. Yeah, my case for the Chew fight is that the Chew fight in the story, it is the closest thing that I think we ever get in One Piece to a truly, truly normal guy beating a superhuman, like a significantly above human character, right? Like Chew is straight up superhuman, right? All the fishmen are, but Chew could level a forest basically with just his water blasts. The reason I say that that's the first and only time we really get that is because Usopp's later fights in the series, the further you go in the series, the more special tools and stuff Usopp gets available to him. So even against like, first of all, like in the Mr. 4 fight, sure, but he also had Chopper by his side, right? Like Usopp could not have fought superhumans by himself. He had Chopper by his side. Then Skypiea, he had nothing. Then by the time of, Water 7 and his lobby, he's got his dials, he's got his upgraded Kabuto weapon and everything like that against Perona, right? So like the further we go in the story, the more Usopp gets, a bag basically. But like I would say that Arlong Park, Chew against Usopp, that was very literally something that it was just a normal dude. Like the way Usopp beat Chu in that fight was just, it was genuinely just a combination of alcohol plus a small combustible, uh, explosive, a hammer, and a rubber band, and a slingshot. It was very, very, very bare bones. It was basically like a dude off the street beating Chu, with some smart thinking. So I do like the Chu fight for that reason. Frankie versus Fikuro. I would also put Frankie versus Fikuro at least in B. I think Frankie versus Fikuro is a wildly entertaining fight. It's hilarious. It is one of the funniest main One Piece fights in the series. Phantom Greyfire says, I'm once again asking you to find a better stream layout that fits the chat box. I've not forgotten about that. Let's take a quick look at the chat box. The chat box is gigantic, but let's see what happens if we increase the size more. Do you guys like that? Is that what you guys want to see? Oh no, you want me to find a better layout in general that fits the the chat box. I'm sure that I could figure something like that out, maybe for next stream. Let's see how it goes next stream. Homing shoulder cannon, yeah, the shoulder cannon where he just runs around. The make sure I haven't missed anything. The tea and all of that. Tea and the different the different drinks he tried. Great Kate says, I didn't mean that last super chat in a negative way for Robin, just illustrating your point about how few fights she's had. Yeah. Okay, I think I didn't miss anything else. I think. All right, good. So, I'm happy putting Fikuro there. You guys want to put Fikuro in A? I don't think I'd put it in A. I think it's a solid fight. I'd put it in B. I'll put it in B. We can't vote for everything, but like it's just like a lot of these fights are good, and I think a lot of the Strahd fights are. I stopped talking about the point I was talking about previously, but basically I think that a lot of the Straw Hat fights, right, because they get fights less frequently. So because they get fights less frequently, they get fights less frequently than Luffy, because Luffy gets a fight, every other week, right? So for Luffy, some are going to be like, some are going to be good, some are going to be great, etc. It's a whole spectrum, right? And you're judging it against his previous fights, right? So, you can be watching Luffy versus Foxy and kind of being like, well, this isn't exactly Luffy versus Crocodile, right? But with the Straw Hats, Oda gives them fights so much more rarely, especially ones that are not Monster Trio, that usually if Oda's giving them a fight, he's got a good idea behind it. You know what I mean? B? All right, cool. Makes sense. Now, Gedatsu. I think Chopper versus Gedatsu is a real good fight. I'm putting it right there. I think Chopper versus Gedatsu is a very good fight. Who remembers Chopper versus Gedatsu? I think it is easily on par with Robin versus Black Maria. And Chopper versus Gedatsu, it's easy to forget, but it's on the back of Skypiea was an important arc for Chopper. He was one of the more focused on characters throughout that arc. And that was the arc that focused on him basically coming into his own as an independent sort of, trying to act like a man, basically, like trying to just be an independent figure. He's like, I'm going to start my life as a pirate here. Nobody else trusts me. Nobody relies on me, etc. So him running into Gedatsu out all by his lonesome was a really good, character challenge for Chopper, because it's literally like you just drop this kid up against one of the strongest enemies in the arc. There's nobody else around to help him. And it did seem like Chopper was fucked for a little bit. Like there was nobody there to help him. He was actually getting his ass beat. And he did have to just find a way because nobody else was there to do it. Yeah, I would agree it's an A. It's a pretty good fight. Antros says, in pre-time skip, the Straw Hats struggled more while Luffy didn't as much. In post-time skip, Luffy is struggling more than the other Straw Hats. At least, yeah. In general, the Straw Hats have not really had... Zoro and Sanji did just have... just Zoro, a very high difficulty fight against King. But aside from that, the Straw Hats have kind of... the fights for the Straw Hats in post-time skip have not been much to talk about, I think. In terms of difficulty. And I think that you could say Frankie versus Sasaki, but it was also very fast. Frankie, on the one hand, he had to use everything in his arsenal, but it was also just, if you compare it to Frankie versus Fikuro, I think he had an easier time versus Fikuro than Sasaki. But the fight versus Sasaki was just like, it was literally just like some shit happens and then Frankie uses his best move and he wins. There's not like it wasn't really a paced out flow or narrative basically around it. So it felt like a lot faster. Or I mean, it was literally a lot faster, but you know what I mean. First name, last name says, how far up can Buggy fail? I think Buggy has reached close to his limit, in my opinion. I think his next step is basically a figure in Luffy's Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Hachi. Hachi is tricky because Hachi, like Zoro was very weak. Senior Pink better be S tier, says Tuna Sub. I'll tell you guys right now, I'm putting Senior Pink, the fight, into D tier. Here's the reason. It's not a good fight. Frankie is kind of like, Frankie is not important to that fight. It's just not a good, like, as a fight, the fight, how do I explain this? The fight is like a formality. The fight is irrelevant. Senior Pink's backstory is what's really good, and Senior Pink's backstory itself, it's irrelevant to the fight. You know what I mean? Like, it just so happened, like, now's a good time to let me tell you something about Senior Pink, is basically what Oda was saying. No, it's not a good fight. Like, the fight itself was a formality. The fight itself, it's just like Frankie and Senior Pink fucking around. Frankie's definitely not using the vast majority of what he can do. It was, by all means, like, you guys don't remember, but like weekly reading, Frankie versus Senior Pink was a very dull fight to cut back to because it was just someone suplexing the other person or something. It was kind of just like a gag moment here or there. Then we got to an amazing backstory. If you want to talk backstories, Senior Pink's backstory is amazing. But the backstory was kind of irrelevant to the story. I mean, to the story of the fight. So for example, if I'm reading like Robin versus Black Maria, the backstory in Robin versus Black Maria, it's a part of the narrative of the fight, right? So Black Maria is telling her all these things. Robin's flashing back to the things that she's learned, the experiences she's had. That plays into her final moves that allow her to turn the fight back around and then defeat Black Maria in the end. Like, it's all one, like, it's all in the flow of the fight. The backstory, etc., it's in the flow of the fight. The Senior Pink backstory, it could have happened practically at any point in the story. It had nothing to do with the fight. It was just like, okay, Senior Pink's about to lose. Let me tell you something about him. And then we get the backstory. But the fight itself, it's not related really. Like, it's a totally separate thing, right? The fight is like a background piece happening. It's kind of like okay, let me tell you like this. It's like Jinbei versus Who's Who, right? So some people are like, Jinbei versus Who's Who is so good because of the Nika stuff. The Nika stuff is that's just a big exposition drop that happens to be happening during the fight. The fight itself, it's like the Nika drop could have happened at any point. It's irrelevant to this fight. The fight itself is just kind of happening on in the background, and then once the exposition dump is done, then we finish the fight. You go what I'm saying? You guys get what I'm saying? Red X says, I was entertained by the fight. On reread, though, the goofiness of Frankie versus Senior Pink made it fun. Yeah, I could see it, but like that still puts it below these other two fights. Like, Zoro versus Cavendish, at least had like back and forth, etc. Showed something about Zoro's character, etc. Okay, you make the case for me for Senior Pink being a good fight. It's like it's not a good fight. C tier, agreed. No, I mean D tier. I would say. All right, talk to me about Hachi. You guys think I won't do it? I'll drop Senior Pink right in there right now just to make a statement. It's done. It's there. That's where it's staying. So, no amount of arguing is gonna change that. Senior Pink is staying in D. Jinbei versus Who's Who is fun. I'm ready to put that in D right now too. Legitimately, probably the worst Straw Hat fight in Onigashima. I mean, no, because then you can get to like Nami versus Ulti and stuff like that. One of the worst Straw Hat fights in the series, easily Jinbei versus Who's Who. You guys know how I feel about that, and I've made that very clear. Hachi is C/D. I think Hachi ends up here. Because Zoro was just so weak at the time that he was fighting Hachi. Like, he was so, he was so injured. But it was also cool because he was fighting him while he was injured. Frankie versus Chill Dino Man is way better. D greater than S. Suska's One Piece. Okay. Let me put Hachi in. I don't know where to play. Where to place Hachi. I'm gonna assume that nobody's gonna vote S for him. I think I literally don't know where to put Hachi. I guess if I were to pick, but you guys don't like when I pick, as evidenced by this. If I were to pick, I would put Hachi. C, 100%. Very rarely see that. Oh, it's only one vote though. Okay, 105. Okay, still ended up in C. Works out. Oh, Jabra. Okay, where would you guys put Jabra? This is interesting. Because I could see people putting Jabra very, very high. I think I would personally. I'll tell you guys where I would put him afterwards. Yeah, I could put Hachi here, but I think I'll leave him here. I'll leave him here for the moment. I'll just leave him there. I could easily see him being here. I just don't think he's here. People got A, S, A. I think people have Jabra at C. That's kind of crazy. Who's voting? That's really low. I personally think that I wouldn't say it's an S tier fight, but I thought it's. Let me say this. In defense of Sanji versus Jabura, I think the start of the fight with Sanji's arrival is a perfect start to a fight, like an amazing like one of the most, I guess, badass moments in the series to me. Sanji's arrival against Jabura. And I do think that the ending with Diablo Jambe, Sanji's like final little one-liners and stuff like that, I think it's really cool. And I do think that kind of just the way it finished with them fighting in midair and then plummeting to the floor, Sanji getting his kicks in as they're falling. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so if you guys have Jabra at that, then what do you have Kaku at, though? Watch, people are going to vote Kaku unanimously S. We're going to unanimously vote Kaku S because I would not be surprised if there's a bit of bias here. Although I do like the Kaku fight quite a bit. Okay, so we got 40% saying S, but you guys know how I do it at this point. If it's at one of the extremes, okay, so it's an A. All right, makes sense. Fair all around. Okay, now I feel weird because now the Gadatsu fight feels like out of place being among these four. But you know what? It's there. Khalifa fight. I think that's an A. I think Khalifa fight's an A, in my opinion. I don't know why. Like, I legitimately am having trouble having to. This is one of the first tier lists where I'm having to do a poll for almost each one because I think that a lot of these fights could be argued in multiple places. More just doing a lot of stop the count here, not gonna lie. To be fair, we do have to move it along pretty fast. Yeah, I'm gonna put Khalifa in A. Stop the count. Miriam says, just got off work and wanted to remind you that you forgot the mod tier list during the. I did forget the mod tier list because thank you for reminding me. Simply because the Film Z process. Who was there at Film Z? If you remember, there was some technical difficulties with me trying to start the stream. Many technical difficulties. It started a solid 30 minutes later than I wanted it to. By the time it finished, I was hungry, so that played a role. I wasn't doing a mod tier list after that. And also, most people, I guess I couldn't recognize the mods on Twitch as much. Some people identified themselves by name, but I couldn't identify all of the mods on Twitch the same way I could on YouTube. I'll think of more excuses later, but I'll do a mod tier list. The mod tier list is the last thing that I've promised, right? There's no other things that I've promised that I haven't delivered on yet. I think that's the last thing that's in my to-do list. All right, King. Let's see how you guys feel about King. This might have been easier to do if we did chronological in retrospect. I just wanted to do the easy way of just like running straight through it, but chronological would probably have been right. Because like um again, you guys know how I do it. If it's like more than 50% saying not S, okay, but we got King to 50%. All right, King S, I think that that's fair. I think that my prediction is the only fights that might make S at the end of the day are a King is tight. I'll leave it in S. I'll leave it in S. Ivan back from the card shop says, Mr. Corge, if you were in One Piece and had the option to make the raid fail or not, would you do it for us on the outside? Assume you won't be punished. What? No, I wouldn't. if I was in the One Piece world, and suddenly, so like from my perspective, it's a real world with like living, breathing characters. No, I wouldn't sabotage the entire, the entire Wano People's Alliance and make God knows how many of them die and like ruin their hopes and dreams. I wouldn't do that just so that in a different world, the outside universe, my theory is correct. That's and the story is better. Like that's pretty fucked up. It'd be like I can't even say what the analogy would be. Like imagine this is the real world, right? I can't even say what the analogy would be because it'd be too like it's basically like would you cause a certain country to lose this war and deal with the consequences of that so that some other universe somebody's theory is correct and they feel like the narrative is better. That's no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to Luffy and his allies. Terry Split says Luffy versus Usopp, Sanji versus Jin, S tier. We'll get to those when we get to those. I kind of disagree with Sanji versus Jin, but we'll see. Okay, Chopper versus Kumadori. This is not debatable. This is an S. This is an amazing fight. Kumadori is no question S. I'll do a poll just to see what you guys have to say about it, but I think that this is like arguably like it's one of the best non-Luffy fights in the series, no question. Whoa. 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 What? Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. You guys don't like the Kumadori fight? I think you guys are forgetting. This is where Monster Chopper came out. This was where Monster Chopper came out. This was one of the best moments in Enies Lobby, like one of the best moments in Enies Lobby period. I know I'm swaying the votes right now. I feel kind of bad about that. I would rather you guys just like organically realize it's S. But like, come on, this is an amazing fight. This is a great fight. Like this fight is easily better than Zoro versus King, and I don't think it's close. I think you could argue it's close. I think you could argue it's close. Again, the tiers aren't ordered, but I mean, I have Kumadori as the best fight in any lobby besides Luffy versus Lucci, period. It's more just a moment than a fight, says Michael Gross. No, because if you watch that fight, like if you go back and watch that fight, Chopper in that fight, especially, yeah, like, you know, it starts off gag-wise, right? Kind of funny. But as the fight progresses, that's like one of the most desperate scenarios we've ever seen a Straw Hat in. Because like Chopper is literally like he's actually getting just demolished. Like it's not even close. And the further the fight is going, the more his Rumble Ball is acting up. And so his transformations are getting out of control. So he's not only completely outmatched physically, etc., but even the opportunities and chances that he's trying to get, which is like just getting into horn point or getting into arm point. Like those are the only two chances that he has. And so he keeps on gambling on those over and over, and they keep falling, like they keep not working, and he's getting more and more injured. There's fire everywhere. He's bleeding. Then finally he gets an opening, like last ditch, last effort. Tanks Kumadori's attacks, goes in with arm point, and it seems like that final effort is paid off. And then Kumadori just comes back, smashes him into the ground. He's just knocking Chopper around. Like, it's brutal. Like, it's happening to Chopper, who's like the baby, the kid of the group. And I don't know, just the desperation. Because that fight, it's just like the chances for Chopper to win keep on like whittling down and down and down. It's just like, holy shit, like he's just done. Like, you don't think he's going to die, but it's just like kind of crazy seeing Chopper, of all people, get in like such a bad situation. And then even when he gets like the big lucky break of arm point, that still doesn't work. And it's just like, he's just fucked. And then he goes like, okay, let me eat that final rumble ball. And he goes into monster Chopper mode, which is just like one of the most shocking scenes in, like, easily one of the most memorable moments in any lobby. Like, the fight overall is one of the best written, not like, I think it's got an argument for best non-Luffy fight in the series. It's if you go back, I think people forget about it because it's Chopper, and like at this point, Monster Point isn't that interesting anymore because we see it so much. But if you go back and like read the story of that fight, or really even watch that fight, because that fight is great in the anime, it's like it's amazing. What if you came? Ivan back from the card shop says, "What if you came back to the real world after the raid came back? Also, now that Sanji's after the raid came back." Also, now that Sanji's flames are blue, what if Hell's Memories is now called All Blue? Well, no, because now if I view the One Piece world as like a living, breathing world, I would never be able to forget about it and the consequences of my actions in it. Lord, I Need Help says it has so much development, and just stress put on Chopper was wonderful. Yeah, if you go back on that, because it's like the changing transformations that are out of his control, and his desperation to try and just get one of the good ones, and then even when he finally gets one of the good ones, it doesn't work. It was really good. Oh, wait, missed this. What if Hell's Memories is now called All Blue? Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't even think about that. And if Sanji had an attack just called All Blue, that's pretty cool. Maybe that's what that's set up for. It's a great idea. Great Kate says Chopper legit would have died if he didn't go monster. Yeah, that's the thing. Like it was just a really, really good set. Like obviously none of us ever think that Estrad's gonna die in a fight, but Oda did a really, really, really good job selling us on the idea that Chopper is just fucked, and that he's having to like kind of go over the edge to basically do it. Juan Pret says, "Yeah, you convinced me more to move King down." I mean, I think obviously, King, it's a Zoro fight, so a Zoro fight inherently makes it cooler in a sense, right? And it's against Yonko first mate, etc. But flow of the fight wise, I think that this was just a better fight. But this, that's the Zoro factor. So it's just like cooler to see a Zoro fight, right? And it's more important, and it's bigger stakes, stronger opponent, more powerful moves. Zoro gets Conqueror's Haki, big deal. I'm not trying to compare these two fights, I guess. I guess I'm just trying to not, like, to me, this was like unquestionably an S fight, basically. So I was surprised that so maybe I'm selling people more on this. Joey Jojo says, "Hey Morge, what does Frankie versus Fikuro have that Frankie versus Sasaki doesn't? They both have a lot more similarities than differences, if you ask me." Frankie versus Fikuro has a story. So I've explained this in past videos and like actually illustrated it, but like Frankie versus Fikuro, there's a legitimate story to the fight, which is basically first they start off with like their macho contest, right? They're hitting each other, etc. They both hate each other's guts from the start, so you get more of a bit of a actual like funny, like you can call it comedic or whatever, but you get more of a dynamic between the two back and forth towards the beginning. Then as time goes on, Oda introduces a problem for the fight, right? So the problem for the fight is that Frankie doesn't have cola. So he started off very hot-headed and everything like that. I'm just going to take you on head on and everything like that. But Frankie's running out of cola, and Fikuro is starting to overwhelm him. And Frankie's starting to get in over his head. So as the fight progresses, it's like, fuck, I'm actually losing. I fucked up. Fikuro's, I can't keep up with this dude. I need to find a way to get some cola. So it introduces, this beginning. Then you get to the problem of the fight. So Frankie has a conflict that he has to deal with. So now the focus of the fight is, let me get my hands on some cola. Let me get my hands on some cola. And the entire time, Fikuro is trash talking him, calling him weak, etc., etc. Frankie's like basically having to rely on Chopper to get him some cola, and there's some gags that you get out of it, but also you get some, I guess, uh, at this point in time, Frankie's having to make bonds with the Straw Hats, right? So this is the Frankie and Chopper bond being built, where they get some, brothers in brothers in arms sort of moment here, where like they're fighting 2v2 against Kumadori and Fukuro and everything like that. And then finally, when Frankie's getting really fucked up, then Chopper gets him the cola, and then finally, Frankie's been talking up this form for a long, long time, like, oh, when I get my hands on that cola, I'm going to be really, really good. So finally, Frankie gets his cola, and then we finally, for the first time, get to see like everything Frankie can do and see him go all out because he's peak at his gas tank is full, right? He's fully juiced out and everything. And then he just starts fucking up Fukuro. And it's like, holy shit, full power Frankie's actually really, really strong. And then, then we get, I would just say like the cool ending bit where they both just start going nuts with their abilities, and like Fukuro takes Frankie out onto the waterfall, but Frankie's like swimming and then like grappling hook, and Fukuro's flying, spinning around and shit like that, and then Frankie bursts out the coup de vent, which we haven't seen in a long while, etc. So the way I've said it before is that Frankie versus Sasaki is if you skip that entire beginning part, or skip basically everything that I explained and just went to the end part, which is like, oh, they just start using their abilities and then Frankie comes out on top. There's not really, like Frankie versus Sasaki, the whole fight happens in literally, I think 2/3 of a chapter, so like 10 pages or maybe 15 pages or something like that. And it is kind of like, there's not really a story to the fight. It's just like, I use this move, then you use this move, then I use this move, then you use this move, then I win. So it's basically like if you took just that ending section of Frankie versus Fukuro, like past Frankie's already gotten his cola and everything like that. They're flying out, they're fighting on the waterfall, etc. And then Frankie's his coup de vent. That's basically Frankie versus Sasaki. Whereas, again, a story to the fight is generally what makes for a memorable fight. Where are we at? Shoot, I hope we're not too far behind. No, I guess we're good. Did I miss any? No, I missed a couple supers. Hold on. Okay, no, I missed one. All right. Missed one. Did I see TCB up there? No. Yes, I did. Good evening. What's up, TCB? Hondo or John Doe? John Doe says, if Zora versus Mr. 1 isn't S tier, I swear to heck. You know what? I'll just move it there right now. I'll alleviate your concern. I personally think Zora versus Mr. 1 is maybe the best non-Luffy fight in the series. I think. In my opinion. The pirate here says, technically they may not be as good, but how do you think One Piece fights compare to other action series at blending narrative into the fights? I think One Piece fights are very good at that in general. Like, at least historically. Historically, I think that they're pretty good at that. I do have that video on One Piece fights analysis where I kind of go in depth into it, and I think that, like, I think I explained quite a bit as to why I think One Piece fights are really, really good at, specifically building a good narrative through the fight. Rolando Crespo Orozco says, spoiler manga question. Spoiler manga question. What does that mean? Is that 1044 or 1043? Seeing the Joy Boy smile in 1043 reminds me of the so many times we saw the panels of Roger smiling and the D-Clan Death smile. Do you think they're connected? I think that they probably are going to be connected. I mean, we even had like, how do I say this? We even had Kaido referencing that a little while ago, right? Like, the more you smile, the more ... Right? I think that was before he threw Luffy on the roof the first time. Okay. Kurubi. I put Kurubi here. I put the Kurubi fight here. Maybe even here. I think I might be biased towards the Kurubi fight because I think that I watched it when I was a kid on 4Kids, and it was actually kind of wild because Sanji really did seem fucked when he was underwater. Like, and like, you know how it is. Like, you're a kid, you're watching like One Piece fights. It's like takes something and drags it out for a full episode, right? So when you're a kid and you're just watching like Sanji struggle underwater for like a full episode, I don't know. It left an impact on me. So for me, it was really cool just seeing like I literally did not know how Sanji was gonna win. I thought it was basically impossible. Again, I think that's largely the anime dragging it out and Sanji's taking more damage and stuff. Let's see. I would put it in. My nostalgia would put it in A. I have a hard time kind of rating it. I thought it's a good fight though. I'm gonna put it here tentatively for now. If it's voted B, I will go with the people, but I would personally put it A. I'm waiting eagerly on these results. Come on. All right. All right. That's good enough for me. Stop the count. Good enough for me. There we go. I thought the Karubi fight's really good. What is this? I don't know what this is. Does anyone know what this is? What is this? This looks like it's from Saboti, Return to Saboti, or Fishman Island. This was when One Piece anime's art style was, in my opinion, the worst thing ever. Does anyone know what this is? Does anyone want to fill this in? Pac-Man Lover 123 says, "What about Queen S fight against her own dark thoughts?" Wasn't there that rumor that falling down the stairs means suicide in Japan, and then that was turned out to be not a real thing? What is this? Does anyone know what this is? Does anyone know what is this? Strats versus Ors? No, we have Ors somewhere else here. Ors is here. Ors is here. Return to Saboti? Who did they fight there? Who? The Pacifista? I'm just gonna ignore that. I don't know what this is. Strats versus Horty's crew? So all of Fishman Island's fight? You can't just group together all of Fishman Island's fight. I'm just gonna ignore this. Who cares? Alright, Double Finger. Double Finger, another really good fight. I think Double Finger's right here. I'm putting Double Finger right there because it's about as good as Nami versus Khalifa. I think it's arguably better than Nami versus Khalifa. No, Nami versus Khalifa. See, Nami during Nami versus Miss Doublefinger, Nami's just a little too helpless. Like she really can't do that much. So a lot of it is just her like escaping and trying to get away. But it was better for her character because you focused on her character for a couple different angles. One, the fact that up till now she's been a non-combatant, which is kind of surprising to think about, right? 200 chapters into the series, Nami was not a fighter. She fought with her staff occasionally against fodder, but she had not gotten an actual fight in the series up to that point. So you got some insight, like some flashbacks of like how she wanted to change that, wanted to actually be able to contribute. And you had some good moments with her basically showing how much she really did care for Vivi and how she's doing all this for Vivi's sake, etc. B, I think it's above B, but then we're going to have the A tier a little too stacked. I guess I'll put it B. I think it's above B, but I'll put it B. I'll put it B. I'll put it B. All right. Mr. 2. I think Mr. 2 is an easy B. Right? Nothing too good about Mr. 2, nothing bad. Mr. 2 is a B. Overlord says, "Do you let your favorite character affect your opinions?" Okay, so here's the thing. It's like it goes the other way around, I suppose. So like I would like to say no, but obviously everybody's gonna have their own bias. Like, so looking here, like Chopper is not one of my favorite characters, but I recognize that Chopper has good fights. Does that make sense? Or at least in my like, I'm able to. I don't want to say I'm able to. That makes it sound like, oh, I'm objectively saying Chopper has good fights, but okay, I'll throw Mr. 2. I'll throw Mr. 2 as a poll. I didn't know people really liked the Mr. 2 fight. Maybe because it was the least, like the Mr. 2 fight really wasn't that dramatic because the problem of like, I guess it was a cool fight just because it was like cool seeing Sanji go all out with his martial. Like that was the first time we really got to see Sanji like go toe to toe with someone pure martial arts style with a very similar fighting style with him. So I guess it was cool in that sense. The action choreography of it was really cool. I would argue that. Okay, so B just won, so I didn't have to do that poll. Thanks, guys. But most people rated above B. Most people rated above. Wait. So it's 49% say it's B or below, 50% say it's above. Okay, but we got a bump for B here. All right, so it's B. And you're right, I do stop the count when it's easiest. I just don't want everything to be A tier. That's too tricky. I mean, like Chopper's not one of my favorite characters, but I do rate some of his fights very highly because I think they're really cool fights. I did say like the Zoro factor, so the Zoro factor makes the King fight cooler, but like by that what I mean is that it's like a higher level fight, right? Like it's a more important fight in the grand scheme of things, right? So it's Zoro's a character that's very strong, so seeing a strong character fight a strong character is inherently like it's something a little different. Justin Holland says, "You keep missing me, Mr. Morge, man. Have I missed your super chats or something? What am I missing? What am I missing here, huh? What am I missing? I keep missing you? What am I missing? Morge. That's what you wanted to tell me? Thanks for contributing to the conversation. Morge. All right, excellent. You missed my super okay, I looks like I did miss something. What did I miss? What did I miss? Fuck. All right, Justin. I'll just look out for your next chat. You tell me what it was that I missed. Your Robin finally had a good fight? Yeah, that's why she's an A. I do think that, this how biased am I for character, like how much I like a character for their fights? I really don't know. Like I couldn't tell you. I think there's some degree of bias. Everyone's always going to have that, but at the same time, like, well, Robin used to be one of my favorite characters. Then she stopped being one of my favorite characters. But the Black Maria fight kind of reminded me why she's one of my favorite characters. Just varies. Nami is one of my favorite characters, so maybe that's why I was more inclined to try and push Double Finger up. I don't know. I don't know how much it biases me. Let's look at who I've ranked low. I don't think there's a pattern here, personally. I do have 2 Zoro fights in S, but you guys pushed for King in S. I was ready to not put King in S, but I think King does belong in S. I could see King S or A. Thomas Cass says, I was the one who made this. Thomas made this. Thank you. Sorry if I... Sorry, I just saved the link. My bad. Thomas Kaz was the one who made this. The Fishman Island pic is there because it was in the folder of photos I imported to the site. I used it for the cover. Okay. So it's just there. So we can ignore it. That's good to know. Thanks, Thomas. Everybody say thank you to Thomas. I said Thomas like a... everyone say thank you to Thomas. All right. This is an easy S. Right? I think we can all agree. Easy S. There's one thing you can't laugh at. One thing that I won't let you laugh at. Easy S. Easy S. I see no... There's not going to be a poll for this. Right? Like, there's... How many... Okay. I'll do it just to see. Just out of curiosity. S, A, B, C. I would be shocked if there's a single vote for not S. If there's a single vote for not S, I would be absolutely mind blown. Although I guess now I'm just baiting people to vote not S. %. I'm gonna assume some people are voting below S just to troll, like some people voting B and C. I think it's the easiest S we've had. I mean, obviously, Mr. 1. Mr. 1's also an easy S. Frankie versus Narrow. On the other hand, an easy C. An easy C. I'll put it in. The Hachi fight wasn't that bad though. Frankie versus Narrow as a fight was definitely cooler than Frankie versus Senior Pink. If people like, I'll reiterate every time, Frankie versus Senior Pink. Like Senior Pink has a S tier backstory in my opinion. S tier backstory, easy. It's just a backstory that randomly happened to be during a fight. The fight itself is not related to the backstory at all. Kyle Gebhardt says, do you think Kaido will revert back to a Koi after losing to Luffy, allowing the world government to capture him again? That would be crazy. That'd be cool to see. Some people have mentioned several things, like Kaido loses his Conqueror's Haki, Kaido bends the knee and pledges loyalty to Luffy, stuff like that. Gabriel Reed says 1044 spoilers are out, question mark. If anybody sees any spoilers for 1044, please, like, mods, that's not, we don't want that. I think that should be straightforward. Reverse Centaur is still funny. That's true. Actually, one of the all-time funniest One Piece moments, in my opinion. The Reverse Centaur. And he yells hentai as he transforms. And I don't think Frankie. No, he uses it again once against Fukuro. But literally just to capture it's he makes it out to be like his ultimate move, and it's really just like a minor convenience at best. Soga King says, "Where are my fights?" At Mr. Morge. Shoot, do we not have Perona? Tell me we have Perona in here. Yeah, no, we got Perona. We got Perona. Don't worry about it. Okay, Ors. Strats versus Ors. I think that's an easy yes too. Strats versus Ors was sick. Great, great, great idea. I got nothing to say on that. Zoro versus Ohm. I would put it A or B, personally. TCB says no spoilers are out. Thomas Kaz says put Usopp versus Chu in S tier for me. Thomas Kaz did make the tier list, so we do have to listen to him. But no, I can't do it, Tom. Do you have a different request? Do you have a more reasonable request? Thomas, do you have a more reasonable request? Is there something normal that you could ask for? I'm not gonna put Usopp versus Chu in S. Ask for something normal, like Senior Pink and E, something like that. I will happily do that. Ohm is B, C. Okay, I think Ohm's got to go to poll. I think so many of these got to go to poll just because it's like you can argue them so many ways. Again, I think I said this already, but like the Straw Hat fights for a lot of them, because I think Oda generally only gives the Straw Hats fights if they're gonna be good. Like Oda will give Luffy a fight just because it's like a Tuesday or something like that. But for the Straw Hats, Oda usually he has an idea for the flow of the fight. So I think most of the Straw Hats are at least enjoyable, and so I think it's hard to differentiate. Like Oda will never go. Here's the thing: Oda's got like a sort of there's some tight parameters for a Straw Hat fight, right? So it's got to be at like. It's got to be at least this good to fit into the story, right? Like at least have some idea for how it can be an entertaining fight. But then at the same time, Oda's never going to devote like 4 chapters to a Straw Hat fight or something. Like 3 is roughly the max, pretty much, or spread out over 3 or something like that, right? So Straw Hat fights are only so good, so bad, basically. So a lot of them are kind of tight together. Ohm is B. I think that's fair. Pearl. I think that's a D. That's the first D, I'd say, besides Senior Pink. Perona. I think the Perona fight's very good. Like, I don't think it's S, though. I personally put it here. What do you guys think? I don't think it's S. It's a good fight because it's Usopp probably at close to his max creativity. So it's good from that perspective. But it also is like a little bit like what do you call? Like, it's also like a little bit. How do I say this? It's like a little bit gag based. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the funniest compared to certain others. Or sorry, it's not the most serious compared to certain others. Like, you know, if you compare straight here, S. Hold on, this has got to go to poll. I'll put it in S if you guys want me to put it in S. Hold on, I missed a super. Message retract. All right. I think A is fine. I think A is fine for it, but I think like, how do I say? It's just like, it's a very good fight, but I don't think it's as dramatic as the other fights that I put up here. You know what I mean? I didn't rig this poll. I might have influenced towards A, but I did not rig this poll. Okay. Pika. I think the Pika fight is pretty cool. Wait, was there no S in the poll? No. Okay, guys, I legit. Sorry. Hold on. That one was not a. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. Hold on. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. I literally did not register that. Listen, listen. I might rig polls, but when I rig polls, I do it on purpose. When I rig polls, I do it on purpose. Fuck. All right, we can still get it to A though. We can still get it to A. We can still get it to A. Come on. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, so more than 50% say not S, therefore I was correct early when I said A. All right, that was a close one. Thanks for catching me on that, guys. All right, there we go. Pika. How do we feel about Pika? I've seen a lot of mixed opinions about Pika. Because, like, with Pika, how do I say this? Oh, shoot, my computer's freezing a little bit. With Pika, how do I say this? Like, it was a easy fight, right? But I think I and a lot of other people thought it was really cool when it happened, like the way Zoro won, just because I think most people weren't expecting Zoro to just be able to cut all of Pika like that. So there is something to be said about, you know, the cool factor. Okay, I guess it's a B. Yeah, it wasn't good. How do I explain this? It was you know what's funny? What's funny is that when people talk about what like highlights of Dressrosa, a lot of people will mention, like at least from what I've seen, a lot of people will mention Zoro cutting Pika as one of the highlight memorable moments of Dressrosa. So you know, there's that. Like it is a memorable moment. I think it's just in retrospect, you know, once we fought strong enemies and everything like that, it's just less interesting to look back at. How do I say this? Like it was cool at that time. Like I don't know if you guys remember it hindsight versus in the moment, because in the moment it was kind of just that's just a moment though, says Potato Lovers 273. That's true. The fight overall was bad. Maximiliano Crespo says, Mr. Morge, when are you planning on having a baby? I don't intend to have kids for like I'm not thinking about that on my radar. If that's something that you're curious about. I would probably not want to it's tricky cuz okay, here's the thing. I want to have kids, but I don't want to have to raise kids. Does that make sense? Like, I want to have kids so that I have future versions of myself, but I don't want to have to raise kids because that seems like a pain. So that's my opinion on it. I think it's a remarkably selfish opinion, but that's my feelings on it at the moment. Milo says, what kind of question is that, LMAO? Yeah. Okay, so we're getting there. We got Sanji versus Queen. Sanji versus Queen, I think, is one of the trickier fights because, how do I say this? Sanji versus Queen, and I made a full video on it. I think the moment that the character moment that it set up for Sanji was very, very good. I think that was arguably Sanji's one of his, if not the one of his best character moments in the series, I think, right? Oh, his new okay, fuck. All right, we can do this. Thomas Kaz's request is Perona S tier, and unfortunately, that is reasonable. All right, Thomas, you made the list. You get it. You get what you want. Yeah, I think it had one of the best Sanji character moments, and oops, I hit ask your community. Hold on. Mariquette says, don't, you never know what they will like. Yeah, see, here's the thing. All right, with kids, I think I might have said this before, but I don't know. Like, people who are like, Miriam's like, are you going out to buy some milk? No, I would prefer it if there was some way that, like, me and the kids, and I assume mother could have some sort of an understanding that, like, look, there's no lies or anything. I'm not going to, like, say I'm going out for some cigarettes and never come back. But You guys cool with it if I just stay out of this whole mess for the most part? You know? You guys get inheritance later on, and that's that's pretty much it. And probably see each other on holidays and things like that. That would be nice. Here's the thing about kids. Okay? Here's the thing about kids. When most people like I feel like everybody has the wrong idea about kids. Side Ray says, will there be a best fake death scene tier list? No, that would be too toxic. I think we can't do that. Yeah, everybody thank Thomas. Thank him again. He made the tier list and he ruined the tier list by moving Prone up here. Thomas would let Perona be in D if it meant Chu was in S. Look, Chu's not making it to S. I'm sorry, Thomas. No matter how much you might have made this tier list, what does that even mean? No matter how much you might have made this tier list, I can't do it. Can't move it up. Moore just wants to clone himself. Yeah, so like that would be nice. Damn. So I mean the majority, so it averages out to A. Yeah, I think that the Sanji versus the moment was important. The moment was really important. I think the fight, I think I might have enjoyed initially. So when I first read it, I went back and read Sanji versus Jabura, and I read Sanji versus Mr. Two. I wanted to kind of compare. I think I was biased a little much by the Sanji character part. I think the actual fighting, I might have preferred Sanji versus Jabura, Sanji versus, Mr. Two. But the character part matters. So I don't know. I'm kind of caught. Like, I'd be like, yeah, maybe that's my favorite Sanji fight. If it was voted S, I would put it in S. It wasn't voted S, so I'm kind of going with that. Yeah, here's the thing about kids that everyone gets wrong. Nobody wants kids. They just think they want kids. Because in your mind, kids are kids, right? Like, they're babies, they're children, right? But that's not it. When you're signing on for kids, you're signing on, like, the real question is, hey, do you right now, would you like it if you had to take care of a fucking teenager? Huh? There's just an ungrateful, shitty teenager that, like, is in the other room, probably jerking off, right? Probably doesn't like you and probably says a lot of rude things to you. And you just have to clean up and, like, feed them and, like, give them money. Like, would you like that? Would you like if there's just a shitty teenager just hanging around the house and, like, being annoying and shit? And then probably pay for their college or something. Like, it's not like people who have kids, they just want babies. They just want babies or toddlers or maybe 5-10-year-olds. Like, that's what they're thinking about when they're like, oh, I would like to have kids or whatever. But that's not it. You're missing this whole other phase, which is the rest of their lives. You just want to fucking, like, like, annoying ass 14, 15, 16-year-old, 17, 18, they're still annoying you. Once they're out, they're still coming back to you for all sorts of things. Then at a certain point, it's just like, there's just like another adult that's like wandering around in the world that you're technically somewhat still responsible for. It's just, it's weird. I want, like, it's just, the real question of like, do you want kids? It's like, do you want to take care of like an annoying 16-year-old right now? Like, is that what you want? Does that sound fun in any way? No. If I could be a parent but skip certain phases of their lives, so like if I could skip the phase where they're babies, right? Because that's just, you get nothing out of that. They're just babies. Probably between, I guess, like maybe 3 years old to like 12 years old, right? That seems reasonable. Then definitely skipping the teen years. And then probably, I guess, yeah, once they're like college post out of the house or whatever, then it's nice because then it's like, there's like a full-grown alternate reality version of you that you can, meet, interact with, etc. That loves you probably. That's nice. And that's my take on it. Jordan Taylor says, Morge says, 13-year-old kid. Get a job, you freeloader. L take. How is this an L take? This is what I'm saying makes sense. When people when people have kids, they're not actually thinking about like like what that actually means. They're just thinking about literal kids. Like, oh, I want kids. Yeah, you want kids, but that's like a brief window when they're kids. The rest of the time they're just shitty. All right. The part who says Morge, I didn't know your favorite character was Yasop. LMAO Morge the Ed beat. Look, I understand what Yasop did. He did what he had to do. Um, Ivan back from the card shop says, if you met the Strats and they asked about your favorite moment, what would you be willing to say that wasn't traumatizing to them? If I met the Strats and they asked about my favorite moment, what would I be willing to say that wasn't traumatizing? They asked about my favorite moment. Favorite moment in the series? Favorite moment for each of them? Okay, so you're saying like what's a favorite moment in their adventure that wasn't traumatizing for them? I guess if I say like saving Robin, that's not traumatizing. That's like a highlight for them. The process of saving Robin was probably very difficult and brutal and probably not fond memory, but I could say, like when you escaped Denny's lobby, that's a fond moment. Ivan back from the card shop says, also, do you have the heart to heart to tell them their poll results? Mostly Frankie and that 28th. No, I would never tell them how popular they are. That's just sad. Definitely a Hunter x Hunter fan. Yeah, June freaks. Atras says, I need to leave early, so I'll post this now. Usopp wins because Sugar makes a brain dead mistake. Usopp is the strategic fighter. We didn't see any cool Usopp tools, and he wins via handout. F rank for Usopp versus Sugar. Usopp versus Sugar, it's tricky because it's okay. Oh no. There's two types of Usopp versus Sugar, right? You're talking about round 1 where he won through the hot pepper. Sure, that's D tier. But round 2 where he won like through sniping, I thought that was really cool. It's hard to it depends if I would put that as S because I thought that was one of the wildest moments in Dressrosa. It was actually a really, really, really good character moment for Usopp. Probably one of his top 3, 4, 5 character moments in the entire series. Him unlocking observation hockey. Like, you guys might kill me for this, but if you go back and read that Usopp chapter, right, and compare it to chapter 1033, where Zoro unlocks Conqueror's hockey, even 10, no, not 1010. I think Usopp unlocking observation hockey to this day is probably the coolest moment of a character unlocking hockey in the series because it feels the most. It's not like, how do I say this? It felt the most fleshed out. It's not like, oh, one moment I can't use hockey, then the next moment I do. I know Zoro got his flashbacks and everything like that, etc. But and the moments that Luffy unleashed Conqueror's hockey for the first time, they were dramatic. But Usopp unlocking observation, it was like a long internal monologue about him really thinking about himself, what he wants to be for Luffy, him already really trying and thinking about the sniping project that he had, like, or challenge that he has right now, right? And you see kind of the gears turning in Usopp and you understand a bit more of how he approaches sniping. And then in this high tension moment, he starts to see, the silhouettes and everything like that. It just felt like a more gradual development and build up and like a reward for Usopp having certain realizations about himself. Or not realizations about himself, but just, just a reward for Usopp after everything that he's, like, how he's matured as a character and everything like that and how he's approaching the current moment. And it was just a surprise. It was a pleasant surprise. I don't think any of us were expecting him to get observation hockey in general or get it right there, etc. Acrylic YT, thanks, appreciate it. Spalix says anime protagonists don't have dads, so Morge is right. Acrylic YT says you're a king, Thomas. Yeah, everybody's already thanked Thomas enough. Discord, Ian23, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, back to the tier list. Yeah, it felt so magical. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put it. I'll probably put Usopp versus Sugar in S when we get to it. I'm interested to see what other people say. Acrylic YT says, "How bad of a teenager were you for your view on them to be that bad?" Look, I don't think I'm much worse than others when it comes to that, like being a shitty teenager. But I was definitely not pleasant. Einzelin Meyer says Morge freaks. Yeah, get your ging. Is it jing? Or ging? Ginge. Jing. Get your jing jokes out, Hunter x Hunter fans. Adrian Hakeem says Morge is leaving to get milk once this kid hits 12. Honestly. Discordian23 says, do you want debt that can break your heart? Yeah, that's the problem. In this country, if you have a kid, you can't just abandon them. You still have to pay for them. It's absurd. Balsam First says, no, we covered this. Were you the kind of teenager you described? Look, all I can say is take a look at, like, TikTok. If you take one look at TikTok, you realize you never want to be a parent, right? Take one look at TikTok, and that's pretty much it. Adrian Hakeem says they want a family Morge, not just kids. Yeah. Yeah. Miriam, the best subscriber, says, so you just want to be a sugar daddy. That's... Well, I don't want to pay. I don't want to pay to have this family. Ideally, this is essentially debt-free, right? So ideally, the government kind of just lets all of this slide and be like, you can take care of those kids when you feel like taking care of those kids. Acrylic YT says, oh, no, we covered this like 3 times now. Sorry, I'm scrolling back and forth through supers. All right. Ryuma. Everyone tells me I pronounced this incorrectly, but I legitimately don't know how to... If you put a gun to my head and say, hey, what does the One Piece community think the pronunciation of Ryuma is, the correct pronunciation, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Because I've tried changing it over multiple videos. I've been like, oh, they always make fun of me for saying Ryuma. All right, Ryuma. And then people make fun of me in the comments for saying Ryuma. I'm like, what the... Okay, so what's the... How do you guys pronounce it? It's not Ryuma? It's not Ryuma? Ryoma? I've said Ryoma, I think, and I think that nobody accepts that either. Ryuma's not an S tier fight. It's a good fight, though. I think it's a solid A. It's like just one chapter straight of pure swordsmanship. It's actually really, really cool. If we put Perona in S, I would actually probably maybe put Ryuma in S, but like, we all know Perona's not supposed to be an S, just because Thomas Kaz said it had to be. So, that's it here. Ryuma? So it is Ryuma. I feel like people tell me it's not Ryuma. Ryuma. Don't listen to the comments. It's pronounced Ryuma, says Mahin. Ryuma. Okay, so maybe I've been saying it right recently. I just used to say it a few different ways and people kept telling me that was wrong. Oh, Frankie versus Sasaki. I think that's an easy D. Satori was annoying as shit. Satori was so annoying. I'm putting Satori here. Just because it was just annoying. It was just irritating. It was like... And like the way Luffy ended up winning was just like... There was a big explosion. Satori stopped using observation hockey for a moment, so Luffy was able to wrap Satori up. But like... JP says Morge be like Whitebeard doesn't actually want a family. He just wants babies and no teenagers. What a foolish son you are, Morge, but we still love you. Look, if Whitebeard was traveling the sea collecting literal kids, children, that would be weird. I think he would get in some trouble for that. People would be like, Whitebeard, the worst pirate. Literally the worst pirate in the world. Oh, man, that's... Alright, Alright. E tier. I'm putting... Yeah, Satori's a D, right? We can put Satori in D. Ulti's a D. Luffy versus Usopp. I think that's an S, right? These last ones are easy. Who's here? I think Yama... I would actually put Yama here because I think it was cool seeing Robin for the first time. Let's see what you guys think about Yama. Juan Pretz has created tier for Ulti. Yeah, some of these guys maybe do need their own tier. Let's see. Wait, let me just make sure we're all cool with this. Yeah. Kit Spiken says who could stop him? Yeah, that's the scary thing. It's if like Whitebeard decided like I'm just gonna collect children. Especially Prime Whitebeard, it's like who's gonna tell him no? Who's gonna say this isn't cool? Thomas Kaz says I'm holding my breath until Chew is A. Has anyone read Asterix? There was an Asterix comic where like the village takes in this random kid from Spain, right? He's like royalty from Spain. And the Asterix village is filled with warriors who are very headstrong and do whatever they want. But they're like, this kid just bosses them around the entire arc or comic. because he's just like, if you guys don't do what I say, I'm gonna hold my breath. And they're like, okay, go hold your breath. So then he holds his breath. Then he'll just keep holding his breath till it looks like he's about to die, and then they freak out, and then they do whatever he wants. So throughout this, throughout the comic, basically, it's just the that issue basically was just like this kid just getting whatever the hell he wanted because he would just threaten suicide until he caught his way. Lame Work says Robins, Whitebeard sailing the seas collecting robins. Archimedes Perez says message retracted. Thomas Cass says if I die for lack of oxygen, you get less super chats. That is true, but it's just too funny of an opportunity to pass up. I got Usopp versus Sugar here. I did think it was really good. Let's see what you guys think. Okay, I'll do Yama first. Maybe I shouldn't have put this here. I'll do Yama first. I would actually personally maybe put Yama here in B. Let's see what you guys think. I'm gonna assume. Oops. B, C, D. All right. Oh, chapter spoilers are out. All right, mods, just be on extra alert. Blue says Yama is S tier. Okay, so just saw that. Yeah, I don't know about that. C. Yeah, it looks like C is basically it. All right, C. And then lastly, I got Usopp versus Sugar. The part here says, "Do you read American comics? If yes, favorites." I used to read DC comics. I don't read Marvel ever. I used to read DC comics, but I would never claim to be like a big DC comics like reader. So I did read DC. I think I've read probably a good amount of the Batman was my favorite when I was younger. That sort of shifted over time, I guess. I would just read mainly like Batman, Justice League. I mean, crossover type stuff. Some Superman, Batman crossover. So nothing crazy. I guess the what you would call the casual level of comic book reading, basically. Beyond that, I read Bone. Bone is a really, really good American graphic novel. I read Watchmen. There's nothing I've ever read that's similar to Watchmen. Watchmen was actually just, if people know comics that are graphic novels, whatever the fuck, that you think are as good / better than Watchmen, please let me know, because Watchmen might be it's actually like the gap between. I saw the Watchmen movie, I think, first. All right? The gap between the Watchmen movie and what the Watchmen graphic novel actually is, it's like worlds of difference. And it's so funny because the movie is also, it's actually like adapts certain beats of it very faithfully, but it adapts all of the things that don't really matter or don't matter that much without the substance that the comic is doing. The novel does so many interesting things. I could talk about the Watchmen graphic novel for like a long, like even just the newspaper comic that's happening within the actual comic. The ideas that you get throughout that, like of just how to tell a story, are pretty crazy. Bone was really, really cool. I think I own the entire Bone series. I have like the thick omnibus that has all of the Bone comics all in one. Bone is a really, really cool series. It's funny. It's actually like a little One Piece almost, in that it's like a good combination of like funny, light, cartoonish humor with some actually really deep lore and a grand sense of adventure and like epic scale war, I guess you could say. Search My Deck Gaming says no Frankie versus Baby 5 in Buffalo. I loved it, B tier. I'm just going with blame Thomas Kaz. You guys celebrate Thomas Kaz so much. It's time you guys start sending some hate his way. Thomas Kaz didn't put that fight in. I'm just saying. I think you guys have been jerking off Thomas Kaz a little too long. All right? He's not the hero you think he is. He didn't put in Baby 5 versus Buffalo. So think about that. Joe Mama says, will Sea Prism be more prevalent in Wano? If I have my way in the raid fields, then Yeah, I think so. I think it's if there's a continuation beyond this battle, then I think we would expect Frankie to start utilizing it. Thomas Cass says Omnibussy. That's the man you worship. Keep that in mind. Omnibussy. That's what he has to contribute to this chat. The Sculptor by Scott McCloud. All right, perhaps. Yeah, like Alan Moore went insane with Watchmen. The number of creative concepts you get out of that graphic novel, like it's actually pretty insane. Uh, like you can within a span of like 20 pages, you have seen like several different, I guess you could say, like experimental little routes of adding to the story or doing something a little different with the story. Rhodes Bob says Bone was a simp. Yes, it's funny because like the main character of Phone Bone, like he's a very normal, reasonable, like rational, like likable character in every sense. His biggest character flaw is literally that he's just a giant simp. The Pirate Hero says, good tier list. My only real gripe is I think the Kabaji fight is a little underrated. I think it's the first time you see how hardcore Zoro can be. Yeah, I would agree. I could see the Kabaji fight being bumped up a little bit. I personally don't tend to enjoy fights where I feel like the hero is struggling with annoying bullshit, right? And this was good because it was kind of like Zoro's so far above Kabaji, shows us how tough he is, etc. That even all like Zoro's wounded, Kabaji's pulling all these dirty tricks, etc. None of that gets to Zoro, etc. He even cuts himself open to prove it. I guess yeah, my personal little bias is like it just gets it personally irritates me and aggravates me to see like a main character, like a character that I know is a lot stronger, just getting annoyed with like stupid little shit that's dragging on the fight a little further than it should be or whatever. So I could see it being up here, but I think this is a nicely evenly spread out tier list. I think this is one of the better tier lists we've ever done. I think this is actually a very reasonable tier list. Sometimes we have tier lists where like shit makes no sense by the end, and I'm like, good lord, what did you guys vote for? But I think this is good. C0DEF Face 42 says, Morge, how do you feel about Tintin / Asterix? Wait, actually, did you ask if I read American comics or comics in general, like Western comics? Because if it's Western comics, Tintin and Asterix, before I was into manga or anything like that, Tintin and Asterix were like these, like, because my dad owned all of the Tintin comics and all of the Asterix comics. So when I was a kid, I had all of those. I've read Asterix comics are continuing with just the author Uderzo, right? I think that's correct, right? Goscinny died. Uderzo was the artist who's still drawing it. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Might have that swapped around, but that's the way it is, right? So I don't read the new Asterix comics. I know that it's gotten a little bit off the simpler origins that it was, I guess, more experimental routes or whatever being gone with the series. But I read all of the Goscinny Uderzo Asterix comics. I think I own almost all of them. And same with Tintin. Tintin, I have every single Tintin comic, I think, except for Tintin in the Congo. So I think I might even have that because I might have picked that up at some point. So Tintin and Asterix were my favorites when I was younger. Like they're so charming, sweet, simple. They're great to go back to. The stories are never too heavy or anything, especially with Asterix. It's just like classic. Tintin especially is just classic adventure. Asterix is classic adventure, but more so skewing comedy because there's literally never any stakes in Asterix because they could just solve it with magic potion. It's crazy that they were able to make a full series out of that. Yeah, I have very, very fond memories of those series, and they have a special place in my heart for sure. The Pirate here says, Morge, what did the pirate side story in Watchmen represent? I forgot and maybe never knew, lol. I forgot as well. But it was very, very, very important. That's like I was actually mind blown while I was reading Watchmen. It's been a long while since I've read Watchmen, but I was mind blown reading Watchmen to see how well that story played into the actual overarching story of Watchmen. Because I hadn't seen anything like that till this point, and I think I still have not. Right? Like he's telling a story, like a completely separate story within a story, and it's not like just like this one-off thing. It's ongoing, and it's playing out throughout the entire narrative, and it gets interesting. And the writing style for that is significantly different than the I guess the outer world writing style. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it again, but I remember feeling like, whoa, I could, as this connects more to the actual story, it adds more layers of meaning to the actual story. Hibachi says, have you read Calvin and Hobbes? Yes, I own all of the Calvin and Hobbes comics as well. I didn't know you guys meant like comics. I thought you meant like comics, like more like American graphic novels, but not like newspaper comics or anything like that. But Calvin and Hobbes was, I was big on newspaper comics as well growing up. So like, I own all the Calvin and Hobbes, but I also own some stuff like Pearls Before Swine and things like that. Like in general, Brewster Rocket. I used to find that funny. I don't find that as funny now. Calvin and Hobbes holds up really, really, really well. Calvin, let me think. So the phases I kind of went. I was always like a comics kid. It was just from different places, right? So when I was young, I liked Amar Chitraktha quite a bit. Those were the Indian Hindu gods comics, basically like Hindu gods as like action heroes and stuff like that. Not action heroes, but just stories like mythologies turned into comics, basically. So you could see Hindu gods or like Hindu heroes fighting demons, rakshas, etc. Comics wise, like funny stuff, I like Calvin and Hobbes a lot. I owned all of the Calvin and Hobbes. Um, uh, then as I got older, I guess a little bit, I liked Tintin and Asterix quite a bit. Bone. Then I got a little bit in DC and stuff like that. And then somewhere along the way, I found anime. Then I just started liking anime. And then I got into manga. And then there we go. All right. All right. Okay, I don't think I'm missing anything here. James Fish Music says Garfield. I used to read Garfield quite a bit. Then at a certain point, I kind of lost interest in Garfield because the humor doesn't hold up that well past a certain point. Calvin and Hobbes is different in that the humor most certainly does. Tommy Flynn says, ever heard of The Far Side? Far Side, I did not read when I was a kid, but I was sitting in a bookstore one day, I think as an adult, maybe when I was in college or whatever, or like close to end of college or whatever, and I did start picking up some Far Side comics just because I was waiting for something. Far Side is really, really funny. I think The Far Side is probably the most difficult type of comic strip to write because you have to think of something somewhat clever with a whole different, like with a different setup in a single panel every single time, every single day. That's really, really fucking hard. That's really, really, really hard. Like working with a set cast of characters that you can bounce stuff off of and you have multiple panels to work with, like Calvin and Hobbes' 4 panels, that's definitely easier over time than The Far Side. So Far Side is legitimately funny and remarkably consistent. Brandon King says Pearls Before Swine is hilarious. Yeah, Pearls is funny. Pearls is funny. I haven't read it in a bit, but I definitely enjoyed it when I was younger. So I haven't touched a Pearls book in a bit. I don't know if I would still find it funny, but definitely when I was like middle school, high school, I thought Pearls was funny. Lamina-san says Peanuts and Snoopy. I'm gonna be honest. I think Peanuts is it's a little dated in its style of comedy, and I think it's cute, charming. I think it's charming. You could eat. Here's a backstory. All right, here's a backstory. This was maybe one of the most angry, maybe the most angry a teacher has ever made me. No, that's not true. That's exaggerating, but it's a vivid memory. A vivid memory I remember. All right, vivid memory I remember. Maroket's favorite Hindu deity. This is funny for people who grew up reading Amar Chitraktha or Hindu religion in general. Like if you're a kid, like Hindu mythology is very, very much action story based. It's a lot of action stories. Like it's a lot of like heroes beating up bad guys and like heroes going on not quests, but like it's just a lot of heroes versus demons type shit. And especially when you've got comics and stuff to go with that, it's easy to think of Hindu deities as superheroes because that's kind of how there's like literally there's hundreds and God knows how many comic books, right? So when I was young, Shiva was my favorite. Then at a certain point, I transitioned over and was just like, no, Vishnu is the best because Vishnu would, especially as Krishna, would beat a lot of demons basically, and there's a lot of comics to read off of that. But anyway, thoughts of Shiva's portrayal in Record of Ragnarok? Asks Thomas Kaz. I wish they treated Hindu deities with more respect in that, just because I'm biased towards Hindu deities, and I think they're dope. And it's also just like, it's a little tricky because out of all of the religion, I'll tell you my teacher story in a second, right? Out of all of the religions in Record of Ragnarok, I think, there's just a bit of a difference in that, like, Greek mythology is something that nobody in the modern day believes in anymore. Hindu mythology is tricky because Hindu mythology and like it, Norse, Greek mythology, those are considered to be mythology at this point, right? Hindu mythology, it's still in the it's still a religion that is devoutly followed by a billion fucking people. Maybe not literally a billion fucking people, but like a good percentage of the actual world actually believes in that. So it's just a little different because like using it's one thing when we do it and we're like, okay, we're gonna have Shiva in this comic, right? Because we're just retelling our own mythology, right? But like the equivalent, like having Shiva and the Hindu gods in Record of Ragnarok, it's kind of like if you wrote in Jesus into Record of Ragnarok as a fighter, and like did that kind of seriously, and like you had Jesus fight. Like it's just a little different because there's just a little different sort of like people actually believe in that, and like people hold that on a certain thing. And like Record of Ragnarok is not a comedy. It's not like Family Guy or South Park or something like that, where obviously they're gonna go parody Jesus or whatever. It's like actually like Jesus as a fighter. It's a little different. So I'm not complaining about that in that sense. It's just like I'm just trying to give you guys a context. It feels a little different for me to see Shiva and the Hindu gods as like a group of characters. And also the Hindu gods are kind of shit on in that they're like, yeah, the Hindu gods kind of suck until Shiva came along, and like Shiva's kind of carrying them all on their back. Um, but I enjoyed his portrayal. I am obviously biased, so I was like, fuck it, I want Shiva to be the strongest out of all these gods. He's not. It looks like Zeus is, or potentially, you know, less mystery scenario Hermes is, or something like that, or whatever we're heading towards. But anyway, that's just my thought on it. I want to see more of Shiva. I hope he makes a comeback in some way. That's basically it. Anyway, here's the teacher story. All right. When I was in seventh grade, and we're gonna call the stream shortly. Ty says Adam was in it. That's true, but Adam's like a little different in that Adam's like, how do I say this? Like, no one like worships Adam in that sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a cool spin on it. It's like, oh, what if Adam was actually fucking broken? Like, it's also the fact that Adam was basically unbeatable in that series, right? The way he lost was essentially just like practically a fluke or whatever. But with the Hindu gods, the portrayal is kind of like, these gods suck. They've got one good guy, Shiva, and he's kind of going to be the stand-in to make him cool and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Not trying to say you guys, bias you guys anything against Record of Ragnarok, because I enjoy that series. I think it's a cool series, and I had fun reading the Shiva fight. The teacher story is not super relevant at this point. It was related to peanuts, okay? So when I was in seventh grade, there's this teacher that, a reading teacher, English teacher, right? Who was basically like trying to explain to the class, like, I don't know, she started the quarter basically explaining like, oh, at this age, kids only know this percentage of words in the English language, and that's just how much you guys know right now. Factually, statistically, you only know this percentage of words in the English language because you're in seventh grade. As you get older, you learn more words, right? So she explained that to us. It's like, okay, cool. But then she had this whole thing to prove it. Like, I don't know why she felt the need to prove it. No one was challenging her on this statistic. She just threw out some statistic, and she's like, kids at this age, you only know this percentage. I will help expand that a little bit over time. But you only know this percentage of words. You learn more as you go on. Like, cool. All right. A little afterwards or whatever, she used the example, this word amusing, all right? She asked us as a class, what do you think the word amusing means? Can someone give me the definition of amusing? Or what is amusing? And so we played along with this little game. So like we're like, okay, amusing, not a complicated word. We all know what amusing fucking means. So we raise our hands. We're like, amusing is this, kind of funny, kind of entertaining, kind of fun, stuff like that. Like kind of, we know what amusing fucking means, right? So we start throwing out some answers, right? She does not accept any of these answers, okay? She's looking for the holy grail of definitions or something. She's like, what's amusing? So we throw out these definitions. She's like, no. She's like, okay, give me an example. She doesn't accept any of the definitions. She's like, give me an example of what's amusing. So we start throwing shit out. We're like, I don't know, like clowns, or like, I don't remember everything we said, but we definitely said a lot of shit that's fucking amusing, okay? Clowns, slipping on a banana peel, okay? TV. Like, we threw out a bunch of different shit that could fall under the umbrella of amusing. All right. Sorry if I'm not coming up with the perfect examples right now for this stream. I don't remember exactly what we said, but we're throwing shit out. Clearly, we all generally know what the gist of the word, the word amusing means. She's not accepting a single one of these words. She's like, or like examples. She's like, nope, that's not it. That's not it. This is a little game she's playing, but it goes on for like 15 fucking minutes. It's like, we're actually fucking confused as shit past a certain point. We're like, is this like a joke? Like, is this like a trick or something? Or like a riddle? Like, we're trying to prove to her that we know what the word amusing means in the English language. We all fucking know we're in 7th grade. What's this golden example that you want us to give you of what the word amusing is? So finally she gets to a point where she's like, okay, I'll explain. Amusing is like the Peanuts comics. That's an example of amusing. And we're all just like silent. We're like, wait, that's what you were searching for, that very specifically? You would not accept a single example outside of the fucking Peanuts comics for the word amusing? And we played this game with you for 15 minutes? Keep in mind, many of us were in 7th grade. It's like 2006 or 7 at this point, right? We don't fucking read the newspaper comics, all right? Kids are on their computers and shit. So a lot of us don't even know what fucking what the Peanuts comics are. I read the newspaper comic strips because I just like the comic strips. I never read the actual newspaper, but I like the comic strips. So I at least know what she's like. Okay, I get what you're saying. Peanuts is amusing. But it was actually just like a lot of kids were actually like really pissed at that. They're like, you made us feel stupid for the first like quarter of this entire class, like for 15 minutes, because you wanted us to land on this very, very specific answer that an example for the word amusing is the Peanuts comic strip. And you would not accept a single other example. So I don't know what the fuck that was about, but that is the memory of Peanuts in my mind. It is burned in and associated with this teacher just like being weird as shit for like a long ass time. Kendrick Lamar says, yo, the Shanks movie's around the corner, bro. Luffy will meet Shanks sooner than ever in the manga. Chapter 1044 will be hype, according to the Reddit post. I'm excited for Chapter 1044. I'm mildly excited for Film Red because I would be happy to see, if it gives us some action scenes for Shanks, I'd be cool seeing those clips. Too many Tamale says this story is amusing. I don't know if that would, I literally don't know if that would, what do you call, fall under her definition for it. I just had to rant and explain about that. Kid Spiken says it's a good example. Yes, it's a good example, but Peanuts is amusing. Makes sense. But it also makes no sense that she would not accept a single other example for the word amusing than that. Anyway. Thomas Cass says, should I read spoilers or no? No, I don't read the spoilers. Just wait a little bit. Kid Spiken says, so she leans towards quaint over entertaining. Ask her. Great Kate says, Peanuts teacher's father left to get milk and never came back. Sounds like a good father. I might do that as well. All right, y'all. I think this has been a good stream. This is probably the most reasonable tier list we might have ever had. I think I might have said this a couple times before, but I'm actually being honest with this one. This one, I think. Oh, wait. Forgot to put sugar up here. Forgot to put sugar up there. Sage Prunal Audrey says more just 27. No, I'm 26. I'm an October birthday, so I'm a little bit, I guess you would say, like I'm, 1995, like, I'm slightly behind, I guess, age-wise for my class, basically. All right,